Hey, what up, y'all? This Mongo. Are you still mad? Still upset? A little angry? Hot under the collar? Pissed off? Cancel the WWE Network? Hashtag cancel WWE Network. Have you canceled it yet? Um, so let's talk about it. Let's not even bury the lead. Goldberg defeats The Fiend. Four or five spears, a jackhammer, pinfall. The crowd was shocked. It was a mixed reaction. Some people immediately, and this was in Saudi Arabia, so it was a lot of people who were like, whoa, unreal. But it wasn't bad. The Fiend had some offense, but they made it quick and dirty, and it made it seem like the Fiend just didn't really care about the title. He stood up and disappeared. Okay, so let's talk about this whole Goldberg thing. Let's talk about not exactly Goldberg, but everything: Goldberg, Wyatt, Roman, Cena, all that stuff. Before we get into the rest of the show, because I want to talk about the rest of the show too. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on most of the show. I'm going to spend a lot of time on this. That's why I'm going to start with the main event. So the Fiend never should have been a champion in the first place. This is my contention. A contender or a superstar like him, a wrestler like him, does not need a title. He never needed the title. He never should have had the title. He never should have even been in the title picture. They tried to avoid putting the belt on the Fiend before with the butt fuckery at the Hell in a Cell, which he shouldn't have been in. I'll grant that. He shouldn't have been in that match. But he was in the match, and they had him lose the match without getting pinned, without being made to submit by referee stoppage, and that was it. But the same people who are imploding right now imploded and exploded then. So they lost their minds. Everybody directed all of that heat at Seth Rollins and WWE and Vince McMahon, and you can't make new stars. You're doing to make new stars. Okay, so let's talk about that. Should have been the issue. The Fiend never should have been a title contender, never should have been in a championship picture. It never should have happened in the first place. Him losing the title was inevitable because he had to lose the title eventually. I was talking to somebody on Twitter about this, and they started saying, "Oh, do a multi-man match," and I was like, "No, triple threat matches only give you a release valve. You know, you put somebody in the match to split the crowd reaction, and that person is just in the match to take the pinfall. If you won the match one-on-one, you won the title one-on-one, lose it one-on-one. It doesn't really hurt you to lose a match. You know, I don't understand where this concept comes from that if you lose a match, all of a sudden your career is over. People lose tons of matches. People lose matches that they shouldn't have lost all the time. It does not matter that much. If you are a strong character, you can bounce back from getting beat. It doesn't matter that much. And Wyatt is a strong character. He's been a powerful character for a long time. He can bounce back from losing. It is not a problem. It's not an issue for Wyatt. Within 2 months, people still will be talking about this, obviously, because it's a big deal. But, you know, once he really gets going again, this will be water under the bridge. Just like a lot of the other losses that he took. It would be water under the bridge. It doesn't matter. You know, people think that these are the things that hold people back. But it's not really. Because no one cares or remembers this shit. Okay? Like, nobody remembers that Marty Jannetty pinned Shawn Michaels. Who the fuck cares? Okay, so, like nobody gives a shit. You know, so these things aren't that important, you know. So that's thing number one is Bray Wyatt shouldn't have been a champion in the first place. Thing number two is wins and losses don't matter that much. We can go into the reason why WWE does not keep track of wins and losses, except for with titles, is because, you know, you wrestle so many matches that you're bound to lose quite a few of them. And sure, a high-profile loss can damage you a little bit, but it doesn't really end your career unless you were that fragile that you absolutely had to win, or you absolutely have to win all the time. It doesn't really hurt you that often to lose. You know, well, in the territory days, you would just move to another territory. You know, if you got beat enough, you would just move to another territory, come back. People still wouldn't forget that you got beat in these matches. You know, like people forget these things. They don't care that much about them. They invest in you. It's not It's not like a football team where you count wins and losses to see if they go to the playoffs or not. You can lose 42 matches in a row, end up being the world champion, and people love you. So this is wrestling. This is not sports, okay? Even though it has a sports tinge to it. So wins and losses don't matter that much. And the Fiend never should have been in the championship picture in the first place. We have to agree on this. I know that people seem to think that titles are the only thing that matters. It don't. Titles are just a thing. It is a thing that characters use to get themselves over. If you're already over, you don't need it. This is why some of the biggest stars, especially in WWE history, have never been a WWE champion, like Jake Roberts and Ted DiBiase and Roddy Piper, because they didn't need to be the champion. Now, granted, Roddy Piper, of that group, Roddy Piper was the only one who really didn't take a lot of pinfalls. He kind of was a DQ master. He would take all these disqualification losses, but he very, very rarely allowed himself to get pinned. And that's also why he was, he was a top guy, but he was never positioned the way Ted DiBiase was. Ted DiBiase was like a perennial main eventer with everybody, from not just Hogan, but with Savage and with everybody. And it was very different, because Piper overprotected himself. But, and Bray Wyatt probably needed to be a little bit more selfish as far as being judicious with his pinfalls. I still think he should have took this one. It was a way out. He had to get that albatross off his back, and that albatross is called the Universal title. He had to get that title off of him, because he's limited as a character with that title, because he can't do all the things that he wants to do, because he's going to be the focal point of the show. Now that the belt is off of him, he can be a little bit more loose. He can be a little bit more free with his characterizations and his feuds and stuff like that. He doesn't have to feud with top guys anymore. He can, he can feud with legends and stuff like that. I mean, that's fine, but you really are limited when you're the champion. You're kind of the defender of the status quo. And why would Wyatt want to defend the status quo? Why would he care about being the champion in the first place? Another thing that people need to realize is, early in the Undertaker's career, he was given the title and it was taken off of him very fast. The whole Hogan, what was it called? I forget what the tagline was when Undertaker won the title at Survivor Series 1990. But he lost the title almost immediately. First title defense, they took the belt off of him, and he never got it back. He didn't get it back until 1997. And during all that time, he was feuding with various monsters like King Kong Bundy and Giant Gonzalez and Yokozuna. He lost a lot of those matches. He lost to Yokozuna quite a bit, feuding with Mabel and stuff. And today, nobody remembers that he, or cares that he lost some of those matches way back in 1995 or 1996. Doesn't matter. He lost a whole round of house show matches to the Ultimate Warrior. Nobody cares. Okay? Nobody gives a shit. That's what happens when you are a full-time talent. You lose a lot because you're being built and other people are also being built. So sometimes you're the stepping stone. But they did a good job of protecting The Undertaker over time, that he remained strong. Even in defeat, he would remain strong. So he lost to Mankind at, King of the Ring 1996, a match that he probably shouldn't have even lost. And it didn't hurt him at all. And then he lost again to Mankind in SummerSlam 1996, the Boiler Room Brawl. Didn't hurt him at all. And guess what? These wins didn't really push Mankind to being world champion. Okay, it's just these were matches that were basically benefited Mick Foley and not the Undertaker. They pretty much established Mick Foley as a tough guy, and then Undertaker, who had already been established as being tough and powerful and all that stuff, he was able to make somebody else. That's storytelling. That's what wrestling is. This is what Wyatt has done. He was, being pushed, put in a position where he had to put somebody else over. He put over Goldberg, which some people say is not the right choice. We can talk about that. We can debate that part. But somebody was going to beat him. Okay? Somebody. People weren't happy when it was Seth Rollins, which was a new guy, a new talent. They didn't care about that. They hated that. But they also hated when it's Goldberg, right? A legend. So somebody has to lose in these matches, okay? So there was also, we'll get to it. Okay, so why put the title on Goldberg? Why Goldberg? Well, there's two things. One, Goldberg is a bigger name than Bray Wyatt, but I don't think that's the reason. My reason is I think Bill won the title to absorb the heat from Roman Reigns. One of the things that I keep saying, and I think I've said it here already, is the one-on-one match forces the audience to pick a side. It forces the audience to say, one of these two guys is my guy. And in a match between Goldberg and Roman Reigns, most people are now, because Goldberg has beaten the Fiend and pissed off everybody, everybody's now going to side with Roman. Because Roman has already kind of laid the groundwork when he said that, Goldberg said I wanted to work with Roman Reigns, and Roman Reigns said, well, all due respect to Goldberg, I prefer to stick with the guys in the locker room, the guys I see every day, blah, 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 blah. Perfect response. It's a perfect response. Because it's a babyface response. It was, I'd rather deal with the guys who I'm in the trenches with already and not with the legends. I would much rather deal with these guys. And now, so Goldberg is now being positioned as being the interrupter. He is the interloper. He's the guy who shouldn't be in this position. And Roman Reigns has to be the guy to set it right. He got to take it back for the boys, which is kind of similar in scope to his feud with Baron Corbin, which has been over who's the locker room leader. So now Roman Reigns has established himself as the locker room leader as he's beaten Baron Corbin yet again. So now he's probably going to go on to Elimination Chamber, win that match, and now have to fight Goldberg as the locker room leader. And Goldberg is the guy who's outside the locker room. He's a legend. He does not work with the normal guys. He only works with the top guys. So now Roman has to defend his locker room, his boys, even the Fiend, who he probably doesn't like, even kayfabe, but he has to defend his boys. So that's a good story. And it also forces the audience to side with Roman Reigns over Goldberg. Now, if the Fiend would have beaten Goldberg, then you would have had Wyatt, Roman, and everybody on Wyatt's side. Because everybody hates Roman. So it would have been, oh, we want Wyatt to win. And then when Wyatt lost, all of the heat would have got dumped on Roman Reigns. And he would have gotten booed out of the building. And people would have, the same people saying, oh, they don't know how to make new stars. They don't know how to make new stars. They would have been saying, it's all about Roman. All they care about is Roman. It's the same idea, right? So now the heat is going to fall on Bill. All of this heat that they don't know how to make new stars and they don't care about nobody, blah, 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 blah. It's all going to get dumped on Bill Goldberg, who is going to be gone in 40 days. So when Goldberg loses the title, all of that heat is going to disappear along with him. And Roman's going to be the locker room leader, the guy who brought it back for the boys, the every week champion that you're going to see all the time, even more of a every week champion than Bray Wyatt was. And there was, I have to temper myself because we'll get there too. But Roman Reigns is going to be established as being the guy, right? He's going to be the guy who legend. He's been battling legends. So he beat Undertaker at WrestleMania. Now he's going to beat Goldberg, and he's going to be the top star that everybody wants him to be. And that was the purpose of Goldberg winning this match. It was to take all of the, instead of it being 50 or 60,000 people in Tampa, it was, I don't know how many people was in Riyadh. Maybe 10,000, maybe 8,000. All of those people, some of whom were happy that Bill won. Let's be real. But a lot of those people were kind of surprised Bill won. But all the people on the internet hate Bill Goldberg. So now all of that hate is being dumped onto Bill Goldberg. And now Goldberg is going to be built up as being the guy who now has to get slayed. He's the dragon now. He's the dragon. He's going to get beat by Roman Reigns, and everything's going to be made cool, just like what happened before when he got killed by Brock Lesnar, taking one back for the boys. Okay. So, why Goldberg? Because for a lot of people, and maybe it's kind of tough to say for who and what crowd, but the Goldberg Roman Reigns match is a dream match for some people. You know, some people are really interested in the Goldberg Roman Reigns match because it's two big football players who are going to stand eye to eye. Goldberg, the old 53-year-old guy, Roman Reigns, the young hungry guy, and they're very similar in that way. And I think that for a lot of people, that's an interesting scenario, is to have the two big bulls fighting each other. And sure, this match didn't need the title. It doesn't. So when people say, well, they don't need the title, they're absolutely correct. This match does not need the title. And I'm not going to try to tell people that it does. It doesn't. But neither does Wyatt and Cena. That match doesn't need the title either. But WWE's end game is putting the title on Reigns. That's their end game. Their end game is not necessarily Wyatt and Reigns. Their end game is Reigns with the title. So whoever Reigns has to beat for the belt, that's fine. They don't give a shit about that. They just need to get the championship to WrestleMania so Reigns can win it. That's all they care about. And Goldberg is good enough to do that and give Reigns a high-profile victory that will not kill his momentum. Now, there's a lot of people who say, like, well, Reigns is a cancer survivor, which is true, and you don't want to boo the cancer survivor out of the building, which more than likely would have happened at WrestleMania. If he had beaten Bray Wyatt, they probably would have booed him out of the building. That's just how it is. So Bill is doing us a service, because I don't even like Bill Goldberg. I wasn't even a fan of Bill Goldberg when he was in WCW. But I respect the shit out of the skill it takes to do those sprint style matches, to get a really good match in 4 or 5 minutes, to be able to hit that explosive power. Like, Goldberg doesn't really have it anymore, which is also part of the problem, because he barely could lift Wyatt for the jackhammer. It wasn't impressive at all. But Goldberg still looks good. He still looks the part. He looks a little weathered, but he looks the part. And that's the important thing, is when you have Reigns and Goldberg staring at each other, it's going to feel tense. It's going to feel big. And that's what they want going into WrestleMania. That is a WrestleMania match. And no matter how much hate you may have, Reigns Goldberg is a WrestleMania match. Might not be a dream match for you, but it's a WrestleMania quality match because it's two big, powerful guys. It's in a match that's going to be very short, and it's going to be pretty much one-sided. I expect Reigns to beat Goldberg pretty quickly. So, what about The Fiend? Okay, so The Fiend, obviously, is probably going to fight John Cena. That's fine. This is more The Fiend's speed anyway, because the Fiend character has been dealing with folks that the Bray Wyatt character had run-ins with. So that fits perfectly with John Cena. He's probably going to beat John Cena, more than likely. If he doesn't, then I don't know. But I'm pretty sure he's going to beat John Cena. So the last point is that a lot of the people who are going to complain about this, and this is what I've been waiting to get to, is they're going to say WWE doesn't know how to make new stars. They keep sacrificing all their new stars to the old ones. And something similar happened earlier in the night with AJ Styles and Undertaker. And they'll say they don't know how to make new stars. They refuse to make any new stars. That's a lie. WWE consistently makes new stars, and they consistently push in new people, but the podcasters and the bloggers and all these people shit on them every single week. Wyatt was being shit on every single week. The same people who are mad now. As a matter of fact, if you listen to this, ask yourself. You don't have to ask your favorite podcaster, but ask your favorite podcaster, your favorite blogger or whatever, if they have been shitting on Wyatt lately. Ask if they have been shitting on Roman Reigns. Ask if they've been shitting on Seth Rollins. Ask if they've been shitting on Kevin Owens. Ask if they've been shitting on the Street Profits. Ask if they've been shitting on Humberto Carrillo or Angel Garza. Ask if they've been shitting on Naomi. If they've been shitting on Bianca Belair. If they've been shitting on the talent in NXT. If they've been shitting on Seth Rollins. If they were shitting on Kofi Kingston when he was the champion. If they shit on Brock Lesnar. If they were shitting on Ricochet. Ask yourself if they were shitting on these people. I guarantee you the answer is yes. The idea that these people are, well, WWE doesn't want to make new stars. Anytime somebody gets a modicum of a push in WWE, there's 100,000 fucking bloggers saying they're boring, they suck. Drew McIntyre right now. You can go online, Google Drew McIntyre. Well, not Google him. Go on Twitter, look up Drew McIntyre. I guarantee you the first 4 or 5 things about Drew McIntyre is going to be negative. He's boring. He's bland. What is he going to do after he wins the title? He doesn't have any personality. He sucks. But if he loses, all of a sudden, they don't know how to make new stars, man. They don't know how to make new stars. I don't know what to tell you. They don't know how to make new stars. They want to have it both ways. WWE has no problem making new stars. The problem is that the people, the bloggers and the podcasters and the journalists and all of them, they just shit on the guys all the time. You shit on these guys every single week. You shit on them. You barely give them a chance. Like a dude has one bad match. He loses one match. All of a sudden, his career is over. He loses one match, his career is over. I don't see how he can get over this. He lost a match. Look at how they treat Braun Strowman. They treat Braun Strowman the exact same way. Braun Strowman didn't even need to lose. Okay? And matter of fact, Braun Strowman lost a lot of matches he shouldn't have lost. He's now one of the most over guys on SmackDown. Because people don't give a shit about wins and losses. They don't care. It's the bloggers and the podcasters that care. It's those guys who are constantly browbeating you, and the internet dudes constantly browbeating you with negativity. I had to take a good 40 minutes to relax after Super Showdown, because I knew when I looked online what I was going to see. I just knew what I was going to see before I checked Twitter, and I was not wrong. Everybody but mad about what happened to Ricochet, even though they're not surprised. Everybody upset about what happened to AJ Styles, even though that was a surprise and that was stupid, but we'll get to that. But the idea that WWE doesn't know how to make any new stars, when all they do is make new stars, and you guys just turn around and shit on them, does not make any sense to me. You are lying to yourself. You're lying to people like me. And that's why I started this channel, because it's time. I'm really going to start keeping track. Maybe start keeping receipts of people who say stuff like, yeah, Wyatt is boring. His matches suck because he doesn't know how to do enough arm drags. And then all of a sudden, as soon as he loses, they don't know how to make new stars. All he do is lose. So when he was winning, it was boring because you knew he was going to win. Then when he lost, it was, you don't know how to make new stars. I don't know, man. I don't know what to tell you. You don't know how to make new stars. It's absolutely ridiculous. But Goldberg and The Fiend was a mess. It was not bad. I had interesting feelings about it. I wasn't hot. I wasn't as angry as I was about Hell in a Cell. I was absolutely pissed about the Hell in a Cell finish because it was a non-finish in a Hell in a Cell match. But so I wasn't that upset about this. Plus, I kind of figured this might happen because Goldberg wants to fight Reigns, and it's a WrestleMania, and it's a big money match. Go for it. Okay, so let's talk about the rest of the card. Bayley beat Naomi. This was the match of the night, if you ask me. They had a absolutely fantastic match. It was really old school. But Bayley wrestled old school with a lot of begging off and a lot of cheating, and she was, utilizing slower offense like chin locks and stuff like that. But what made this match really great was the finish, where Bayley hooked Naomi's legs into her shirt, which is absolutely silly to think about. But but if you saw the visual, it looked cool. And then she used her secondary finish, which is the rose plant, and pinned her. So Naomi put up a great fight, went down tough, and it was a great match. As far as I'm concerned, it was the best match of the night. So Reigns and Corbin was what it was. There was no purpose for it. There was no purpose to it. It was absolutely just a match. It was too long. There was no blood. It was not interesting. Just had to get Reigns another victory to get Corbin out of the way. Brock Lesnar and Ricochet. Now they played this fantastic video. This absolutely amazing video. Where Ricochet was asking like, why not me? And they were showing how incredible he was, and he was talking about being underrated his whole life and all this stuff. And then as soon as the bell rings, Brock mauled him. The match was less than 2 minutes. But here's the thing. Brock does this vertical suplex that looks like a body slam. It was the most violent vertical suplex I have ever seen in my life. It was absolutely banana. And this is the crazy thing. And this is the one thing about this match that I didn't like. Ricochet got 0 offense. 0. Okay? This was a flawless victory. In Mortal Kombat terms. This was a flawless victory for Brock Lesnar. I did not like that part of it. But I knew Ricochet was going to lose. They did a good job of Ricochet, of showing that video, which I really enjoyed. I really would like for them to post that online. But there's no real reason for it now because Ricochet got demolished. But a flawless victory for Brock. You can just call it was a stunning. I really was so stunned by this vertical suplex that I saw that I really was not paying attention to the rest of the match, which featured probably just a couple more German suplexes and the match is over. So Dolph Ziggler versus Mansoor. Mansoor is a good performer. You know, he's a good wrestler. He's decent at cutting promos, English and Arabic. I don't know Arabic, but people react when he talks. So Dolph is a guy who probably going to have a job forever because he's so good at making other people look good. And he's so good at actually working the style that they want. And I don't see it as him losing. Again, Dolph is a guy that most people are more into, not into him because he's been around for so long versus because he always loses. But Dolph is a guy who can get himself over in the blink of an eye. It doesn't really matter. The match after that was the Street Profits versus Rollins and Murphy. This is a really good match too. The Street Profits are, Montez Ford is absolutely amazing. He is carrying D'Angelo Dawkins. And in my opinion, when the Street Profits break up, D'Angelo Dawkins might as well just start looking for a new job because it's over. You know, I know he was in developmental for a really long time before Montez Ford showed up. And it kind of shows. And I don't know if he's trying to look like D'Lo Brown, but he looks a lot like D'Lo Brown. And I'm black, and I can say all black people don't look the same. But that dude looks a lot like D'Lo Brown. And maybe he wants to look like D'Lo Brown on purpose, but he probably shouldn't. And he should stop using the Sky High if he doesn't want to get called D'Lo Brown. But it was a really good match. The Street Profits are an amazing tag team. D'Angelo Dawkins does his part as being the power guy. He did a nice little pounce on Murphy into the Arabic announce table. But Montez Ford is amazing. He's phenomenal. And the Street Profits they've lost every tag team title match they've been in, but they remain over. Which should tell you that wins and losses don't matter. But the Street Profits, they'll get the titles eventually. But I think that it's just a matter of time before Montez Ford breaks out and becomes like a big star. So Angel Garza and Humberto Carrillo, they had a match. They had a pretty good match, man. Like, these dudes, they have great chemistry. I would have liked it better if they had not wrestled on Raw. If they just saved this match for here, I probably would have been more interested. Because I wasn't really all that interested, I didn't really grade it that well. But I will say that Angel Garza kind of fits the El Idolo, which means the idol. He kind of fits that moniker more than Andrade. Because he kind of, the narcissist sort of gimmick seemed like it really fits Angel Garza. And the themes, the Angel Garza and Alberto Carrillo, their themes are amazing. I don't remember Angel Garza's theme being so dope until today. And then I listened to it today, you know, as it played. And I was like, his theme is hot. Like I fucks with it. Like the little Latino voice, the Latina female voice in the background, and I like the horns and shit and Humberto Carrillo. I know you probably don't care about this, but I'm saying like the themes are dope, and it sucks because AEW only has like 4 good themes. So New Day lost the tag team titles to Miz and Morrison, which also shifted the SmackDown status quo. Miz and Morrison should have won. I picked them to win. They should have won. It was the right decision to make. Kofi did a really crazy bump where he jumped over the top rope and the Miz missed, and he just crashed onto the floor. The fans was kind of not into this. They were into it a little bit. They were into everything a little bit, but this match, it was okay. It wasn't terrible. It wasn't horrible. There was some really good tag team moves in this match. You really don't need to see this show at all outside of the Fiend and Goldberg to understand what happened. Or you probably could watch Naomi and Bayley, but you can pretty much skip this entire show. And in the first match, the first match that I watched was the Gauntlet for the 2-weight trophy, and it was really bizarre that they had R-Truth beat 3 face heels. He beat Lashley, he beat Andrade, he beat Rowan. He beat Andrade from their heads bumped together, and the story wasn't told on commentary, but the Andrade was trying to go back to using his back elbow, and his head knocked R-Truth's head. He fell down. R-Truth fell on top of him, and that was an interesting thing. That they tried to build R-Truth as being winning fluke matches, so it was like a fluke roll up and a fluke he fell on top of him, and Rowan got disqualified. But the interesting thing here is that Ray got jumped by Luke and Gallows and Anderson. Styles was trying to get Ray counted out. Then Undertaker showed up, beat up Gallows and Anderson, came down, choke slammed AJ Styles, and somehow won the match. So this is going to set up their WrestleMania match. This made absolutely no fucking sense. For starters, why is it at these stupid fucking Saudi shows, do they keep telling us that it's going to be a tournament final or a gauntlet match or something like that, and then they change the fucking rules? Like, that shit is so frustrating. Ray is in this match, not Undertaker. Why would the referee say that this is okay for Undertaker to be in this match? Why? That does not make any sense. He didn't even take his coat off. Okay, I'm not even tripping about AJ Styles getting pinned with 1 choke slam, which was dumb. Okay, let's just be real, it's dumb. But I don't understand why the referee even allowed the substitution. The referee should have just said, okay, Ray is counted out, AJ Styles wins, and then Undertaker came out anyway to kind of confront him, and then they do some jaw jacking, and then maybe Undertaker choke slams him because he was jacking his jaw too much. And that would have been fine. But for Undertaker to win the trophy when he wasn't even in the match doesn't make any sense. And I know WWE sometimes they like to not make sense. But this obviously is going to set up AJ Styles and Undertaker, which is going to be great. I just don't like that Undertaker already pinned him, which is ridiculous. And you really kind of have to ask the question, considering AJ Styles beat R-Truth so easily, you kind of have to ask the question of whether, why would Undertaker fight AJ Styles again? And I'm guessing they'll get to that part, and I'm just going to wait for that. But, yeah, that was dumb. The 2-weight trophy shit, man, look, they need to stop it with these gauntlet matches. Stop these stupid gauntlet matches and these stupid-ass trophies if you're not going to go through with the gimmick. If you're going to tell me that there's 6 people in this match, the 6 people who are on the fucking screen should be the 6 people in the match. Okay? Stop with the... Now, if you wanted to add somebody, then it's still stupid. This didn't do Undertaker any favors. It didn't do AJ Styles any favors. Now, the 2-weight trophy, they kept saying it, that it's a mountain. That, the mountain, it represents strength and fortitude. And Undertaker wins the trophy, and Michael Cole was talking about that the trophy fits. Undertaker's sort of the mountain that represents strength and fortitude in WWE. And now he's won this trophy, which represents strength and fortitude in Saudi Arabia. That's what the two-weight mountain is. And that's what the trophy is named after. And they kept calling it the prestigious. The prestigious. But whatever. It was stupid. This entire show was pointless. If you was stayed at home from work or something to watch it, you wasted your time. You was better off going to work. Bayley and Naomi is the only match you should go out of your way to see. The rest of the show was kind of a throwaway. The fans weren't really into everything. They knew everybody's stuff though, which is really good. And this is why I like the Saudi shows, is because it shows the global reach of the WWE. They were really into Naomi and Bayley. The crowd was really into it. You would think that, especially listening to people online, that the Saudis would have hated the women's match. No, quite the opposite. They were more into this match, that match, than any other match on the show, except maybe Goldberg and The Fiend. They were chanting the old Bayley chants, the NXT "Hey Bayley," and they were doing that, and Bayley was just telling them to shut up. They were chanting "Feel the Glow." They had signs. It was great. Like, I was legit surprised so many people cared about Naomi versus Bayley, especially at where they put them. They put them after the cage match, after Roman and Corbin. So it was really good. I like that, and I think that the people who are upset that somebody threw some shit at Natalya, nothing like that happened this time. They managed to cover all the ass Bayley and and Naomi had. They, everything that those girls are working with. I was surprised that they got out of Saudi Arabia. They got in the ring without you seeing too much. But they did a good job of covering them up. And some of the guys were covered up too, by the way. So even though they didn't stay covered up long, like Baron Corbin was covered up a little bit, and then when the cage match started, he took his thing off. But yeah, it was not a particularly great show, but the Goldberg Fiend status quo change is amazing. And I like being surprised. I like when people are engaged and upset, because it shows that people still have passion for wrestling. And as much as folks get online every day talking about wrestling is dead and I don't care and blah, 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 when something happens, they really get fired up. And that shows that you still do care. You do fucking care. But there's going to be probably a lot of people sending letters to Bruce Pritchard or Jim Cornette and talking about why does Vince McMahon obsessed with the old guys. And because the old guys draw. It's that simple. Old guys draw. The indies do the same thing. They give money to Terry Funk to show up and wrestle. And it is what it is. And every WWE champion except Bill Goldberg is younger than Chris Jericho, by the way. So when the people start talking about, they're all of the old guys, like, oh yeah, all of them are younger than Chris Jericho. Sorry. Chris Jericho's 50 and Goldberg is 53. So there's like a 4-year age difference. And then there's also people on the AEW roster who are going to be wrestling at that pay-per-view who are over 40, like Dustin Rhodes. And I think Christopher Daniels probably going to show up. And he's probably going to be the leader of the Dark Order. And he's 50. So, I mean, the idea that old guys have no place in wrestling is nonsense. Because if you look at it, the older performers usually do exactly what Goldberg is going to do. They come in, they take the ball, and then they do the job for the next young up-and-coming guy. Paul Heyman did the same thing with Terry Funk when he put Terry Funk over Raven. It seemed like a nonsense idea at the time, but it told a great story. Terry Funk beat the unbeatable Raven, pinned him 1, 2, 3 in the middle of the ring, and then Terry Funk lost the title and built up the guy who he's losing the title to. That's how you use older talent. You don't use older talent to put over. You use them to put over people, but they need to have some credibility in order to put somebody over. And you can't just be like, well, they're an old guy. I'm going to go out here and bully the old guy, because then that doesn't mean anything. You got to have, if you're going to put old talent in the ring or older talent in the ring, you have to give them credibility first, and then you can take that credibility away. But they have to have the credibility first, and this is one of the good things about Goldberg winning, is that now he's been made credible so that if Reigns beats him, he's not known just as the guy who beat Dolph Ziggler. He has a legitimate victory on his resume that you can now say he beat the unbeatable Fiend. How the hell can Roman Reigns beat him? He's not off his game at all. That Bill Goldberg, he's still sharp at 53. But the idea that somebody is old at 53 is actually kind of new in wrestling. There used to be guys wrestling in their 50s all the time, man. This is not a surprise. All right, so like, share, and subscribe. Please hit the comment section. Let me know what's happening. And I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.